As we mentioned, today marks the one-year anniversary since our first national lockdown when Prime Minister Boris Johnson made this address to the country.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. In this fight, we can be in no doubt that each and every one of us is directly enlisted, and every one of us is now obliged to join together to halt the spread of this disease at this moment of national emergency. To stay at home, protect our NHS and save lives. We will beat the coronavirus and we will beat it together.
Wow, we will beat it with the incredible work from all the scientists who worked on the vaccine, the NHS, you know, what things we've discovered since that moment.
Come such a long way.
Today is a national day of reflection to remember those who have lost their lives to coronavirus, and there'll be a minute's silence at midday, which we will be marking on this morning. Tonight, people are being encouraged to light up their doorsteps at 8 o'clock.
Now, the last 12 months have changed our lives unimaginably, but two people who have been here by our sides over the past year are our doctors. Dr Sarah and Dr Phillip, good morning to you. Nice to see you today. So actually, Dr Sarah, I wanted to start with you because on the 23rd a year ago, you were here. So sort of looking back over the year, I wondered what your reflections of that time was and what it was like on that first day here. I guess we were all sort of trying to be quite positive about things.
Well, that's the thing. I think we were all trying to be very positive, which obviously, you know, at the time, we probably, with retrospect, didn't have enough information to be that positive with. And I think that's been a learning point for myself anyway. But, you know, this year has been incredible. I mean, I've had a baby in that time, and you can see his big head, the other side, in the meantime. And I think for me, it's been a very bizarre journey. I think at the start, it was something quite wonderful about being cocooned in with your mini family, you know, without the world outside encroaching in. But as time has gone on, I've really longed for that peer support and just, you know, people there to help.
We've got a bit of trouble with your sound, so we're going to redial you. We'll talk to Dr Phillip whilst we do that. You've been with us from day one, Phillip. Are your reflections of the past year?
So for me, what's been amazing actually is how in the worst of times, the best of people come out. And we've seen that within local communities and within bigger communities, how people have come together to look after those people who are shielding or the elderly, or, you know, to help people in hospitals. And that's been really amazing, as has how the global community have come together with scientists working their absolute socks off to produce the vaccine, which is going to help get us out of it. And so it has been incredibly difficult, but people have shown their incredible resilience and the best of themselves within that.
Yeah, and then obviously, you know, we know who our heroes are. You know, you've got the NHS, our doctors, our police officers, our firefighters, who have done incredible work throughout this pandemic. But there were more local heroes, actually, that came to the forefront.
And isn't that wonderful to be able to tell your kids, for example, that you can be a hero whatever you do? But we've had the heroic dustmen and supermarket delivery drivers, and there have been an incredible network of people that we have not been able to manage without, and to be able to look back and celebrate those people, not just in, for example, the healthcare profession, but actually there's been a whole community of different jobs that we've been needing, especially teachers. How many of us as parents, I've got 3 children, who have a newfound utter respect for teachers over the past year.
Yeah,
and what do you think has been a significant low of the last year?
So personally, I was in hospital for 2 weeks in intensive care, which was incredibly difficult. But I think that for the general public, what's been really very difficult is what I would say are the non-COVID harms, and that potentially we haven't focused on those enough. We know, for example, that cancer referrals have gone down significantly. We know that at the beginning, people were unfortunately passing away of heart attacks or strokes at home. And we need to ensure that not only do we not just focus on COVID, but that we focus on all the other harms that could be happening if we only focus on one. And that balancing act is incredibly difficult to do.
And that's the thing, we were also focused on COVID-19, and of course there were other illnesses, and you were a patient yourself, not only a doctor, and you've spoken on here about your bowel cancer and how you had your surgeries, like you just said, you were in intensive care for 2 weeks. How was it being a patient during this time?
I think that when we look back, we will have an understanding of essentially that it adds a layer of almost cruelty to a really difficult situation. And we can understand intellectually the need to be on your own, but emotionally that's incredibly hard. But what it also taught me is, one, that you're enough, that you can do it, that you can do hard things. Two, the incredible care that you get from the people inside the hospital. And three, if you have a friend or a family member or a loved one in hospital now, you need to find a way to break through that isolation. Be that letters, be that sending a random GIF at 2 in the morning. You need to find a way to connect, because as I said, we can do tough things. It's just easier when we feel less alone.
And it has been enormously tough for many people. In fact, you know, there are very few people that it hasn't been tough for, Sarah. And the nation's mental health has taken a bit of a battering here.
Oh, of course it has. I mean, calls to things like Mind and various charities like Samaritans have gone through the roof during this period. And it's been so devastating for a lot of people that already had mental health problems and needed that support already, and then for the people who have developed mental health problems throughout this and haven't been able to access the help that they would usually, you know, be able to access. It's been devastating, and that's exactly why, as you know, Phillip has said, we should really be trying to connect as much as possible with as many people as possible to try and buffer that burden.
Sarah, how do you do that with a newborn? Because I remember being a new mum, one of the most important things was socialisation of the baby, going to mum groups, you know, whatever it was, music things, that would be good for me because it would get me out of the house, but also great for the children to be able to socialise. I presume you haven't been able to do any of that.
Yeah, I actually do really lament over that. That is the one part of all of this that in my personal life that I found really difficult, because my child hasn't socialised with people. I haven't socialised with people. And at the beginning, it felt lovely to be cocooned. But as time has gone on, it's been really difficult to not have that interaction, not have the peer support, the chats with other mums when they're like, actually, that happens to me too. And, you know, you do feel very isolated. But there are people out there, there are groups out there that you can join online, you can have these chats online with, and antenatal classes are still going on, they're just via Zoom. So there are ways to kind of go through all of this and not feeling so isolated, but it's not the same. And so I'm really looking forward to getting back to swimming lessons and things like that.
And on a professional basis, are you starting face-to-face clinics next month?
Yes, exactly. So I feel like I've kind of gone to sleep a year ago and now suddenly woken up and I'm going to be thrust back into clinics where the world has completely changed. So I am a little bit nervous about it. I mean, ultimately, my job is the same. It's still about caring for people and spotting, you know, diseases and prevention and care. But I do feel really nervous about the fact that it's a very different world to how it was a year ago.
And Phillip, how about you? What's your thought about, you know, sort of next month moving forward?
So first of all, remember that your GP surgery is open and we will talk to you. Might be on the phone, might be on the video, might be face to face, but we will talk to you. But for me, I think that we need to find whatever it was that we enjoyed during lockdown and keep that up, and find whatever it was that we missed and make sure that we go and get that. And whilst friends and family are always top of my list, there are a lot of other things that I'm sort of almost a little bit surprised at. My kids really want to go back to the library, for example, to be able to get new books every couple of weeks. And there are lots of things that we've been missing that it'll be great to get back to.
Yeah, all right. Well, look, thank you. Well done, both of you, for everything you've done in the last year for us as well. And we'll speak to you soon.